Carol Duvall, and I'm delighted to have you join me for our Country Crafts videotape. This is one of those instructional tapes, which is great because it gives me the opportunity to take you step by step through each project. And of course, you have the power to push the button, to stop, to start, to rewind, to fast forward, to do whatever it takes to really get it all together and know exactly how we're doing what we're doing. I've had a wonderful time putting all these projects together, and I hope you'll do the same. Wreaths are no longer just a decorating item for Christmas. They're good all year long. And what quicker way to add country to your home than with a country wreath? We have quite a variety of them, and they're really wonderful because they are all cut and glue. We have a very special one we're going to show you how to make. For our heart wreath, we're using 2 different cotton prints, 1/8 of a yard each, 3/4 of a yard of eyelet edging, piece of poster board, piece of foam core about 1/4 of an inch thick, some white glue, scissors, a little piece of paper and a pencil, and an optional sewing machine or needle and thread. Okay, well, obviously, if we're going to be making a heart wreath, one of the first things we're going to need is going to be some hearts. And if we're going to make it fabric covered, we're going to need some fabric. So we'll start with the fabric. And we're going to be making ours of a pink and white polka dot and a pink and white and blue with a little heart pattern. Seems very appropriate, don't you think? Okay, and hearts, we remember how we did those in grade school. You fold a piece of paper in half, and then you draw a half of a heart. Now, you may have to do this several times. Not bad. Now, to make a heart that's going to be exactly the same size that ours is, in case you want to make a wreath exactly the same size, I'll tell you this, that the distance here, the widest part, is about 1 1/4 inches. And in length from the highest to the lowest, it's 2.5. Here you can see if you draw a rectangle around it. That'll give you a clue. Now, you might want to make yours fatter or skinnier or whatever, but basically that's it. And then cut yourself, we're going to need 12 of these hearts, 6 of each of the fabrics. So you cut yourself 6 squares of one and 6 of the other, about 3-inch squares. Don't have to be compulsive about measuring or anything like that. Now we're going to glue the hearts to the fabric. Get some nice wax paper so you won't make too much of a mess. And what I usually do is, even though I've cut my original heart from a piece of paper, is to trace it onto a piece of lightweight cardboard, paper plate, or anything to make a pattern, because you're going to trace this a lot of times. We are using, as we mentioned in our list of materials, poster board for our hearts. But if you don't have poster board, you can buy it, of course, at the grocery store, the dime store, the variety store, the art store, the craft store. You want to do it right away, you can use the cardboard you have around the house, cracker boxes, cereal boxes. Just make sure that the fabric is not so light that the gray or the printing shows through. Okay, so we have now cut ourselves 12 of these little cardboard hearts, glued to the fabric. So I just put what I hope will be not too much and spread it around with a toothpick. If by any chance you happen to be out of toothpicks, then just use a little strip of cardboard, hunk of the poster board, hunk of your cereal box. At any rate, get pretty good coverage on that. You don't have to make sure you have every single bit. So if you miss a spot or two, that's okay. Press it down. As I said, do 6 of each print. Now we are going to cut this out after you've got all 12 of them done. Cut it out and cut it out so that you leave about 1/4 of an inch border, so that you don't have to sit here and watch me do that. I've got one already done. At the top, cut right into the cardboard. At the bottom point there, cut straight across, just a hair's breadth away from that point. And then I could have cut that a little bit of an angle. Now we're going to go all the way around the heart and cut zillions of little tiny slashes, cutting right to the cardboard. Cut them close together because we want that fabric to fold back very, very neatly and give us a nice, neat curve there in each one of those. So you do that all the way around. Now when you apply your glue, again, do it sparingly. A little bit on the end of your toothpick, right around here on the cardboard, not the fabric. And fold it back like this. Okay? You'll know how to do that by the time you have done 12 of them. All right. Now, put them aside, because we're going to make the hoop now. That these all go on. And this we mentioned is made of foam core. Now, this you can buy at maybe your craft supply store, or your art supply store, and if you don't want to use foam core or don't have it, you can use regular styrofoam. You can even use heavy cardboard. You can use thin cardboard, as a matter of fact. Those hearts don't weigh a lot. At any rate, we did first of all make a cardboard pattern. Our wreath is 8.5 inches in diameter, from the outside edge to the outside edge. If you do use the foam core, don't use the scissors to cut it. Use an X-Acto knife or a craft knife and cut straight up and down all the way around. But whatever you use, we're going to cover it anyway. We're going to cut a strip of our fabric, either one of the fabrics. This is about an 1.25 inches wide. You don't have to worry about measuring it. And it's long enough that it's easy for you to handle, because we're going to wrap this. You can put a little piece of tape on there to hold it at the beginning if you want to. Fold it in half as you go, wrap it at an angle, and you see you're covering that raw edge each time you come around. And again, I'm not going to subject you to watching me covering this whole thing. I have one that we've already done. And pretty already, isn't it? Too pretty to cover up. Now, before we add the hearts to it, we're going to put some eyelet around ours. This is optional, of course. We thought it looked kind of nice, especially with the pink. And I think we gave you the measurements at the front about how much you'll need. Well, this gives you the idea. I have a little more than necessary. At any rate, again, with just a touch of glue applied with your toothpick to the back side. Another idea, incidentally, if you want to, you can do this on an embroidery hoop, which you can paint, you can wrap, or you can leave as is, instead of using the foam core or the cardboard. Okay, now comes the placement of the hearts. And this is important. Don't glue them as you go. Push them away. You wouldn't do that anyway, would you? Put them around. I sometimes find it easy if I start at 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Do it this way. Now then, I want them to overlap. That's just you may not want to do that. I do. I want them to overlap. Go like this. Make sure that they overlap each time in the same direction. And as you're going along, you'll think, okay, they all look pretty good, but check. Check these shapes and distances here. See, this one's skinny, this one's wide, so you'll have to adjust. And make sure that all the points, this will help you, all the points are facing to the dead center. Put something in there, draw a polka dot on the table if you want to. Make all those points going this way. And when you get them all where they should be, then you can glue them on with just a spot of glue. We're going to add one more touch. We're going to add a bow to it. I mean, it's so feminine and frilly already. And this time, we're going to cut a strip of fabric, 4 inches wide, 16 inches long? About that. Depends on how big you want your bow. Fold it in half lengthwise, stitch it, or I've even done this with glue, as a matter of fact. Turn it right side too, and we did put the ends in at an angle. Just tuck them in like that, and you can stitch those, or you can glue them. Now, to make our bow, we're not going to tie it. We're just simply going to do this. And again, you may have to adjust to get the exact size you want. And this. Take another little piece of fabric, fold the edges in. Don't have to bother sewing that. And just wrap it around dead center. Obviously, you'll adjust that and fool with it till you have it as perfect as this one, or as perfect as the one that we put on our completed wreath. And it almost makes me wish I had a little girl at home whose room I could hang this in. There it is, our country crafted wreath. Well, here's a nifty way to add a touch of country class to your home by dyeing your natural straw or sisal mats or rugs with country colors. I wish I could take credit for this idea, but I can't. It was folks over at Wreaths Dye. You can make any number of designs. We're going to give you the information on how to make this one. And here's what you will need. 1 straw rug, 3 by 5 feet, a bottle of Wreaths liquid dye. We use the seafoam green, or you can use the powder dye if you prefer. A bottle of Wreaths liquid dye peach color, roll of masking tape, 3/4 of an inch wide, scissors or a craft knife, newspapers, lots of newspapers to cover your table or work surface, 2 soft sponges, and 2 glass bowls. And I would add 2 more things to that list, and that would be rubber gloves or something to protect your hands in case you slop a little, and something to protect you from here on down in case you slop a little. Here are the newspapers. You'll need lots of them because remember, we're working with dye, and you don't want to muck up your work surface, especially if it's at your kitchen table. So put quite a few layers, 12, 14, 16, whatever. And then, of course, you're going to need a rug. Now, this one happens to be seagrass. But you can get them in sisal or straw, or, well, they come in any different varieties of natural ones, and you can get them at your floor covering store, department stores, specialty stores. They're around, and you can usually have them cut to the size that you want, too. This is a little smaller than our 3x5 rug. Now, there is a natural design in this one, and most of them you will find that, but we're going to sort of use it as a guide and kind of ignore it in this particular pattern we have here. Now, this may look a little complicated, but we'll break it down, and it's really quite easy. In each square, this is represented by each square, of course, of the mat. We've just simply put a diagonal line to divide it into 2 triangles. And did that on all 3. 1, 2, 3. Except this one, we put another line in. So we have actually 3 triangles, 2 small ones and a big one. Then you just reverse that. 3, 2, and 1 on the next row, and keep doing that. Now, of course, these are the sea green triangles. These are the peach-colored triangles, and the ones that are not colored are the ones that are the natural color of the mat that we are not going to mask off. And here's, speaking of masking, here's how you do it. This is where I said you use the masking tape and why you'd want it kind of wide, not the little skinny stuff, because you have to do a lot of covering. Here's our first square, you see. This is the natural color, so we've covered it off. We're not going to dye that. This we will dye. Same over here. Now, this is green and this is peach, so we wanted to put in a little skinny strip here just so that they wouldn't bleed too much into the other. So you do that for the entire rug. Now comes the fun part. This is when you also put the gloves on. With the soft sponge, I'm going to use the green, and you just start slopping on this. And dab, dab, dab. Now, it's going to take a little while. You might want to wring this out a little bit more. Each find your own technique for doing this. And it's going to take a while to dry, of course, especially when you put on as much as I am right now. So let it dry before you put another coat on, and you probably will, because, first of all, the color is going to change a little bit as it dries. But by the time you finish, you're doing a very big rug, it'll probably be dry enough to see. And you want, I'm sure, more than one. Probably 2, 3, 4, maybe 42, who knows, till it gets to be the color you want. We have used a mixture here of 2 to 1, that is 2 parts water to 1 part of the dye. When it's dry, and it's the color you want, and these are the colors we wanted, it'll look like this with the tape on. We've already peeled some of this off here. Now you get to see the wondrous parts that we have. Kind of nifty, huh? And the complete rug looks like this. And if you don't think you want to try a full rug yet, or you don't even want to have that kind of a rug in your house, how about straw placemats? You can get those in all different kinds of materials and do them in all wonderful colors. Really country. Band boxes are so very popular, again, and they're so very country. They come in all sizes and shapes and all colors, and they're so pretty. Many times they're very practical. We're going to get you started on making band boxes with a pretty little 4-inch round one. And to make one, here's what you'll need. A 12 by 20-inch piece of flexible cardboard, some wallpaper with a country pattern, of course, about a 4-foot length, some white glue, masking tape, 3/4-inch width, a pen or a pencil, 1-inch wide brush, scissors or an X-Acto knife, or both, ruler or yardstick, and a brayer or a flat-bottom glass. I've just given you the list of specifics regarding materials and sizes for the band box that we're going to be making today. But you might want to go on and make different sizes and different shapes and different finishes and so forth. So I'm going to give you some kind of general hints along the way, too. The most important thing is the cardboard that you select for making the box. And then I call it cardboard. You might call it tag board or poster board or railroad board or with anything. It's got so many different names and numbers to it. Just let me tell you what to look for, and then you can pick what works for you. The bigger the box, of course, the sturdier the cardboard you're going to need. But the thickness of it doesn't necessarily tell you what's the best. You want something that is going to be able to be curved but not bend. Now, this is very thin. It's like poster board, but it's really tag board, and it's got a coating on it that makes it do that. On the other hand, look at how thick this is. You can make a great big box with this, and it would be sturdy enough, and it can be folded into really quite a small circle or oval. So when you go to your art supply store, or your craft store, or your office supply store, tell them what it is you want it for. You want it sturdy, but you want it flexible. The bigger, the sturdier. Okay, now when it comes to covering the box, wallpaper is what we're using, but you might want to use fabric. When it comes to lining the box, you might want to use gift wrapping paper, even newspaper. We're going to use wallpaper again. Sort of simplifies things on that. Oh, now, we did say it's going to be a 4-inch circle box that we are making. We're going to make ours about 3 inches high. Here's one like it. It's uncovered, but it's a little bit short. It's only about 2 inches. The thickness of the cardboard is going to determine how much bigger you want the top of the box to be. Now, if you're using very thin cardboard like this, then you know the top only needs to be just a tad bigger, just the thickness of it, so it'll slip down. It's this way, of course. On the other hand, if you're using thick cardboard like this, you want it that much bigger at any rate. And what I do is that I use a marking pen, a fat, like a magic marker, and go around it like this. And just that thickness of that line makes this great for the bottom and this great for the top. So that's just a little hint you might want to use if you're using the thick cardboard. Okie doke, now we're going to need the side of the box. Well, how big do you need that? Well, you need it big enough, long enough, to go all the way around the bottom with an inch overlap. And, of course, as high as you want it to be. So for the box we're doing today, we're going to use a strip 16 inches. That gives us our 4-inch circle and 1-inch overlap, and we want it 3 inches high. Now, we also need the side for the top of the box, this one. So we need another strip of cardboard that is, we're going to make it about an inch deep and 16 inches all the way around. Now we want to cover them, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the lining on now. So when the box is put together, even though it hasn't been covered, it's got the lining already in it. Oh, it's such a wonderful surprise when you do that to yourself. Okay, so we cut our piece of paper. This is for the side. This is our wallpaper because that's what we're using. Might be gift wrapping paper, as I said, or even newspaper. We're going to apply glue, put it on, make it nice and smooth all the way down, then cut it to fit. And we're going to do that also for the side, and because this is a smaller piece, that's the one I'll do the actual demonstrating on. The gluing that I'm using, the glue I'm using is a white glue, and I thinned it with just enough water so that it's reasonably easy to apply with this brush. Wonderful, nice, wide, not really stiff, but sturdy, bristled brush, okay? Now you're going to do this with every piece of cardboard that you glue the lining to. You're going to do this. Alrighty. Now it goes on, and this next step is very important. Notice, please, I am working on wax paper. All right, you're going to press, press, press. If you slop a little glue on the back, that's okay. It's going to be covered anyway. Now, we're going to use a brayer, this little wooden roller. If you've done any wallpapering, just out of the way, then you're familiar, I'm sure, with a brayer. You find these in hardware stores and wallpaper and paint stores. You want to get all of the air bubbles out, even the ones that you don't see. And you want to get it down as smooth as can be, because this is going to curve inward like this. If it's going to curve that way, it wouldn't be such a problem. But it's not. It's going to curve inside. It's going to want to pull away from that cardboard. So really do your job on this one. If you don't have a brayer, or for some reason can't get one, use a glass. Now, I don't mean the side of the glass, but the bottom of a glass. It'll do a pretty good job. Okay, so now you've done it with the side of the top. Now you do it with the side of the box. Then we're going to cut this so that it fits perfectly, except we're going to leave a 1-inch extension at the end, and we're going to do that with the side too. That's because when we pull these around, I'm going to put that in, overlap them, and that's going to just sort of be easy to glue and keep it all neat and tidy and together there. Same way. Now, you can cut this with the scissors, of course, but I always recommend in this and making your bandboxes when you're cutting your cardboard, your sides, when you're cutting the paper to match, if you can, use a straight edge. Use either a yardstick, a metal-edged ruler, and an X-Acto or a craft knife. You really will get straighter cuts, honestly, if you can do that. All right, now, the next step, we're going to attach this. This is the side of the box. We're going to attach it to the bottom. We're going to use our masking tape. I'm using 3/4 inch wide. Go all the way down here and put half of it on the side, on your cardboard, and half of it is going to extend beyond. Then, with your scissors, now we've done this on we're going to do this on some of our other projects, and that is cut many little slashes from the edge right up to the cardboard itself. When we finish, we're going to do that to both pieces, the side and the top. Now we've got this. Now we're going to attach them. All right. Remember, this is the inside of the box, so we're curving in. This is the inside of the box, so it's facing this way. Now, you may find a special technique that works best for you when it comes to attaching this. You want to line them up exactly. Oops. I do this every time. Start at the end with the overlap. Okay, that's going to go in. I mean, there's no great harm done if you don't, but I know I've undone it enough times. All right. This is the way we do it. Neat, neat, neat. You try to be neat. However, if there are some places where it pulls away or it's not as neat as it should be, and there, oh, that is not as neat as it should be, that's okay. Keep going. You may find it easier also to pick this up and hold it right against the front of you and lean, however works for you. The main thing is you see what you want to do. You want to get this all the way around. When you get it all the way around, then you go back with the point of your X-Acto knife. Pick up those wayward ones and flatten them out because you do want this on there as smoothly as possible. Let me put this down and show you here. See, now these are pretty neat. And that's the way you want it, on the top and the bottom, and that's what you're going to do that too. And when you have done that step, look, look, look. This is what you have. Okay? We have to glue this down now. So far, so good. And we're going to put a piece of masking tape along the outside on both the top and the bottom. Now comes covering the outside. That part is a snap by comparison, okay? We're going to take the top of our box, and we're going to cut a piece of our wallpaper just a little bit bigger and slather the top with glue and put it on, as you can see here. And then we're going to cut it, but not to fit. We're going to cut it about a 1/4 of an inch, no less than that, all the way around. And then again, our slash, slash, slash. All right. So then we put our glue around the edge of the box and press that overlap down. So far, so good. And we do that to the bottom of the box, too. Now, coming into home stretch, we're going to cut a strip of the paper just about 1/4 of an inch wider than the side. When we're doing the side of the box, we cut it 1/4 of an inch wider than the depth of the box. And we're going to glue it all the way around. Apply glue to the box or to the paper, whichever you find easiest. However, there's one thing. Can you see that white line? If you're working with dark paper like this, you will see it. So here's what I do. I take a marking pen, and even if it is black, and just run it along there. You won't see that it's black. In fact, you won't see it at all, and that's the whole idea. So this gets glued on all the way around, and of course, you're already ahead of me. You know what the next step is. You slash, 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 and glue that inside. Want to see the box? This is what happens when we've done that. And there's the inside. Pretty classy, huh? But there's a wonderful box to make as a gift for yourself, as a gift for a friend, and which can make it even especially nice if somebody's papering in their house. Ask for a few extra pieces of their paper. Then you can make them a box to match. And you can make it for almost any room in the house. Look at some of these. Same thing, round boxes. This is made from my wallpaper. Little tiny one. Good for keeping $1,000 gold pieces in or valuable diamonds and jewelry. You know it's so small I made that out of an index card. How about this one for yourself or a friend's bathroom? Out of the wallpaper. You know what that's for? It's for that extra roll of toilet paper. A little one, it's also round, a little smaller, with holes poked in the top. Why? Because it's filled with potpourri. Nice, huh? And how about a great big one like this for a housewarming gift, or I'm glad you're my friend gift, or gee, it's nice to be here gift, filled with Nabisco Nilla wafers. All from a little bandbox, cardboard and wallpaper. Oh, what nifty country. Well, our country cast this time is our cat in the window, and what makes our cat country is the calico we've cut him from. And our cat goes lots of places besides a window, too. He even turns into different things, including a cowboy. But if you'd like to make a cat in the window, here's what you'll need. For a cat in the window similar to ours, we use 3 different patterns of calico. You might even have scraps around the house. Certainly you won't need to buy any more than 1/4 yard each. Scissors, glue, pen or pencil, 9 by 12 piece of cardboard. And you might, this is optional, trim with some eyelet trim, about 1/4 yard of that, some polyester batting, masking tape, stapler if you have one, and it might be so wonderful you want to add a frame. Well, if we're going to do a cat in a window, I guess we better start with a cat. And just in case you've forgotten how to draw one and you don't have a 6-year-old at home to show you, here's how I did this one. I drew 2 circles, one about 1 3/4 inches and the other one about 3 inches in diameter. You don't have to draw them that size. That's what I did, that's all. Then inside the big body one, drew a couple of lines to make it turn into sort of an oval inside, like this. It's a little bit neater. And on this side and on this side and halfway up practically, we're going to do little lines like that. Those are going to be haunches in case you don't recognize them right now. Then we're going to join them by a line, Art 101. Here are the haunches. In case you can't see that, here. I've really outlined that one. Then we're going to put ears on this. And we're going to make 2 copies of this because we're going to cut this out. We're going to cut out the haunches and cut out the rest of the body. And then, of course, a tail, which you can just draw or cut freehand. The cardboard that I've used here is poster board, same as we used for the hearts on the heart wreath. But you can, again, use your cracker boxes or your cereal boxes as long as the printing or the gray cardboard isn't so dark that shows through the fabric. You might have some other cardboard around, too. Okay, now, again, we're going to get our fabric that we're going to cover our cat with, and our white glue, and our toothpick, because, again, as with the hearts, we don't want to put too much glue on the cardboard. Just put a little bit on, spread it around with your toothpick, then put it on. No, not this time. Oh, you can do it that way, but we're going to make ourselves a fat cat. So in between the cardboard and the fabric, we're going to use some polyfill batten. Just a few drops of glue on here will do it. Put it on, and then cut the batten so that it fits perfectly, like this. Now it can go onto the fabric. And again, just a few spots of glue are all that are necessary, down like this. And then again, as we did with the hearts, cut it out, maybe a little bit more than 1/4 inch, because you want to pull it up and fit it around. But before you do that, of course, you do all these little slits with your scissors. Cut many, many, many little slits, 1/4 inch or closer. And then, again, the toothpick application of the glue around here. Bring it up, press it over so that you have a nice, neat, fat cat. But, of course, that's only part of it. You do the same thing to the haunches and the same thing to the tail. So now we have our cat. Everything except the whiskers, which we're going to add a little bit later. But we want to make the window that he's going to sit in. Now, our frame that we bought for this, yes, I bought something, is 9 by 12. So I have a 9 by 12 piece of cardboard. We're going to cover this with our background fabric. You don't have to worry about gluing this or sewing it or anything. Just cut it about 3 inches larger than the piece of cardboard on all sides. Then wrap it just as you would wrap a package. And I just simply used masking tape to tape it. Did it a little bit slower than this and taped the long ends down first so that it was snug and smooth. And you might feel better, actually, gluing this, but I don't see any need for it, to tell you the truth. Okay, do the tape along here, too. Then we're going to add curtains. Now, if we're going to hem our curtains, then you can do this on the sewing machine, or you can do it by hand, or you can do it the way I do it. Just a little bit of glue along there, press it up, and there's the hem on our curtains. These you want to gather, of course, they're a little too wide. They're the same length as this. They're about 8 inches, as wide as you want them to be full. And you can also do it the way I did, and that is just simply staple those gathers in, one on each side. We can go beyond that, too. You can even put some little tie backs here made out of just a strip of the background fabric. And again, we folded the 2 raw edges into the center and glued it. So we have a strip like this. We'll go around. Or you might want to have the tie backs made out of the same fabric of the curtains. That's your choice. Same when it comes to the little valance across the top. In this case, I've used some gathered eyelet, which also gets either glued or stapled on. And you might, again, prefer to do it out of this fabric. Depends. Now, we see we've got the place for our cat to go right in there for us. We can find our cat. Yes, he sits here. But I copied this idea from one that I saw in a catalog. And incidentally, the price was $36.95. And it said it was made out of cardboard and fabric. Real fabric, whatever they meant by that. But anyway, it had a flower pot and tulips. So on our piece of poster board, we've drawn, well, you can recognize tulips, of course, and the flower pot. And again, cut them out, glued all of our pieces to fabric, but didn't bother with edging them, just simply cut them straight out because they're too tiny. You don't need to worry about those edges. These, of course, will get glued in place. If you want to, you can even add some little green felt leaves on there. And one last thing that goes in before our frame goes on, of course, our cat's whiskers. Take a look at our cat over here. I think he's kind of, he looks pretty happy in that frame of his. His whiskers are cut from simply narrow, narrow strips of paper. You could also take some thread and dip it in glue and stiffen them out. But there he is, our country cat. What could be more country than woven wooden baskets? Except ours aren't wooden. They're woven of cardboard and masking tape. And, well, here's what you'll need. 1 sheet of poster board, 3/4 inch wide masking tape, some acrylic paint, a sponge, scissors, and glue. These are fun and these are easy and you can't go wrong because I say so and I invented them. So you can decide on what size and shape and everything you want your basket to be. Same as with the band boxes. Ours is sort of an oval. This is the bottom of it, so that's going to be the shape of it. And it's about 6.5 by 7.5 approximately. All I did was cut a rectangle and round off the corners. You can make it, as I say, round or more of an oval, whatever. Now what we want for the side, we want a piece to go all the way around with a 2-inch overlap. Again, same as with the band boxes, except 2 inches instead of 1. And in this case, it happens to be a 24-inch length. Now here's what we're going to do to make our wood. I'm taking on this piece of poster board masking tape. Try to get it on reasonably straight, line it right up there. And incidentally, use a good quality because I've discovered in masking tape, some of them have more of a grain to them than others. Cover this entire strip with it. In fact, you can cut the strip actually after you put the masking tape on if you want to. And butt them right up next to each other. Try not to overlap. Try not to leave too much space in between. They should really just butt up like I have here. But if it's not perfect, that's okay. These baskets aren't. Anyway, you keep doing that. And this is how many strips that we did for ours. The basket is going to be actually this wide. This is the bottom part. This is the part we're going to cut so we can weave in and out. So we actually have 5 strips of masking tape. 3 strips are what we're going to do the weaving with. 1 strip's going to be the handle, and 1's going to be an extra piece to go around the bottom. Now comes the painting part. It's going to give it the wood texture. And for that, of course, you wouldn't be writing on the masking tape the way I did. We're using some of this acrylic paint in the country colors, of course. I always use some sort of a plastic lid when I'm doing my painting. And we're going to use a soft sponge. Well, it doesn't make any difference. We're going to make it soft anyway because we're going to put this in water. And we're going to get some water in there. And then you just sort of like this. And as you go along, you'll discover all of a sudden maybe, if you use your imagination enough, it's just going to look like wood. Sometimes you can get it to look even better if you let it dry a little bit and then go over it again and it sort of picks it up and makes it look a little bit messier and more, well, weather-beaten, okay? Keep it up till you get it the color you want. It's usually just 1 coat is all you'll need. And when it's dry, do it to the other side, too. Now, the other side doesn't have the tape on it, so it's not going to take to the color quite as well. Do the bottom, too, both sides. But, see? Nifty? Brushed it on? Okay, now we're going to cut this. Now, don't worry about cutting perfectly straight lines with your X-Acto that I'm always talking about. This time you can use your scissors. If they're not perfectly straight, that's okay. Because, remember, this is all make-believe wood that we're doing. So you cut off your different strips. That's the bottom cover strip. This is the handle. We just told you what they were when we put the tape on. So you know that this is going to be the side of the basket. Here's our bottom strip that we're not going to cut. Now we're going to cut these vertical lines so we can weave in and out. How far apart you put them is up to you. I made them about the same width as the masking tape strips. So they're about 3/4 of an inch, so forth. Do this, of course, all the way along. Then we are going to take our weaving strips, and we'll have 3 of those, and do just exactly what you'd think we do with weaving strips. We're going to weave them in and out. At any rate, in and out, I don't think we need to teach you that. That you do remember from grade school. Now we're going to do the old masking tape trick again. Remember the band boxes? Even if you didn't pay that much attention, I'm sure you saw that we attached them with the Masking tape, and it's put on the right side, the outside of the basket, half of the width of the strip on the basket side, half of it extending beyond. And, of course, again, you're ahead of me on this. We're going to cut that into many, many, many little pieces, which I have already done, since you know how we do that. Lots of little cuts. Now we go to the bottom of our basket and do exactly the same thing again. Not only is it because this is country, but because it's the same sort of thing. Have we put this on our same tape? Whether you hold it in your right hand, your left hand, up against you, it's the same idea. This is easier. It's much easier than the band boxes because we're working with such very, very flexible cardboard. And of course, when you get it all the way around, then naturally you're going to go back with some more of your paint and water mixture and make it all wonderful, like this is. See? Of course it is, isn't it? Now, here's that extra strip on the bottom. I didn't put it on, but a friend of mine made a basket, and she did this. She took one more of those strips and put it around, and I rather like that, so that's what I'm going to do with mine, too. I think it looks nifty. Our handle, of course, is just the handle strip, and it just, if you expect to lift your basket up, then, of course, you better glue that in there. And then you fill it with wonderful, wonderful flowers. One of my friends, I didn't think of this, took the piece of cardboard, covered it with fabric, and made one of our woven baskets. It really looks country because it's made of woven fabric. Do you love it? I do. I love them all. I hope you'll give them a try. Are these country or are these country? And they make me giggle, too. We're going to tell you how you can get written directions for making these. Right now, what we're going to make is this French country cat, all made from the same item. In addition to the mystery item, here's what you'll need to make her. A hot glue gun or a thick craft glue, a serrated knife, scissors, needle, white thread, a paintbrush, facial blusher, pink and green acrylic paint, a 2.5-inch foam ball, a 12 by 18-inch white fur piece with short nap, 4 white jumbo chenille stems, 2 3/4-inch white pom-poms, 3 1/4-inch round buttons, a 1-inch square of pink felt, a 34-inch length of 5/8-inch wide mauve craft ribbon, 1 4-inch wicker doll hat, mauve and pink silk flowers and leaves, baby's breath dried florals, 36-inch length of mauve fabric cord or a small basket, and 6 broom strands. Okay, now you've got the list of all the things that you'll need to make this cute French country cat, but that's as far as I go, because the lady who made this one and all those other wonderful little animals, all from these Renews It adjustable air fresheners, is right here with me. Cindy, Groom, Harry. Cindy, those are the cutest doggone things.
They're really fun to make.
Now I'm going to sit and just listen and watch while you do the step-by-step for us.
Okay, fine. Step 1 is to take a 2.5-inch foam ball and cut a 1-inch slice off the bottom. Apply glue, either a white craft glue or hot glue, to the surface and press it onto the topper. Next, we're using a 5 by 10-inch piece of fur, and this white fur should be a short nap, nothing too heavy. Baste along one long edge, and then wrap it around the topper, like so, pulling it tightly. Then knot it and overlap the ends and glue them, making sure that you don't glue the base, just glue along the fibers.
So it's just slightly gathered around the top.
That's right, so that it will hold it.
Okay.
The next step is to cover the foam ball, and to do that, we've made a pattern out of a 7-inch piece of paper, a circular pattern, lay it on your fur, the same fur, cut it out. And then you'll do the same thing by basting all the way around the edge, placing it over the ball, pulling it tight, knotting it, and putting a little extra dab of glue on that knot so that it will hold. This will look like this, and it'll be totally covered. You can use this technique for other characters as well.
That's the same basic thing that you did with the cute animals at the beginning?
That's right.
Oh, darling.
Using this same fur, we've cut a 2 by 2.5-inch length of piece for the arm. And to fold it, fold in both sides, applying a little extra glue along that edge. And then you'll simply insert a chenille stem, 2-inch length, into there. And I should mention that this is 2.5 inches this way, 2 this way, so that you'll get the right length. Squirt a little glue into both ends, press it, hold it, and you'll have an arm. You can even bend this arm a little bit because of the chenille
Yes.
stem. And it is jumbo chenille, so it holds its shape pretty well. Put glue on the end and add it to the shoulder and another one on the other side.
We have
and
a miniature abominable snowman right now.
That's right, and you could use your creativity. Come up with all sorts of things. In order to make the leg for this cat, we've used an 8-inch length of the same fur and the same tube technique, gluing, inserting the chenille, and then in order to shape the hip, go about 1/3 the way across, fold it into a hip, and then fold the other end out for the foot. And you'll want to seal both ends as you did before, and that will look like this. Apply glue, hook it onto this side, and even the kids can help with this. It's so simple.
Oh, you certainly make it look that way.
It is. It really is. You can do the same thing for the tail, and then because of that stem, you can wiggle it into any shape and glue it to the back. And this is what it'll look like to this point.
Oh, those are so cute. Can we shove that stuff down so we
Sure,
okay, good.
sure. Let's get ready for the ears now. Now, the ears are made from a 1 by 2-inch piece of the same fur, folding in the top corners down to the center and gluing down to the center, and you'll have a triangle.
These
That's
little
all it
techniques
is.
you've come up with are wonderful.
Well, they're so simple that I have done these with children, and they've worked very, very well. Now, in order to glue this, put the glue along the straight edge, the long straight edge, and I'm going to grab this one as a sample here and attach it to the top. And in order to make features, we've used pom-poms for the little jowls, 1/4-inch ball buttons, painted pink and green for nose and eyes, and a hint about working with cute characters. Be sure that you keep these features down nice and low for that cute look.
Uh-huh.
And the whiskers, this is the fun part. I raided the broom.
You
I went and got
haven't-
broom strands and cut them into 2-inch lengths and then just inserted them in with a little bit of glue into the jowls.
You have a nylon broom, I guess.
That's right, that's right.
What's left of it.
And then, here's the makeup. Blusher, facial blusher, added to ears, paws, tail, just to add a little bit of color to the kitten.
It makes a big difference. It really does. Now, this hat is the cutest doggone thing.
Well, it's a 4-inch wicker hat that is decorated along the edge with just artificial flowers and some baby's breath, a few leaves, 12-inch length of ribbon, glued at the top, and then wrapped around and tied underneath in a little bow.
And if that isn't enough, folks, take a look at the basket. That basket is a stitch. That really
Well,
is.
the basket, I'm going to slide this over here. The basket, now you could use a wicker basket or some other small basket you might have, but the fun part of this is a new product called Fabricord, and it's available all ready to go. You simply start gluing it, and I have glued just a couple of inches at a time, gluing around, putting it in shape, and continue wrapping it around, gluing a few inches at a time, wrap around until you build it up, almost like an upside-down beehive.
And then the handle
And
the
then
bow.
a couple of inches of it, the same thing for the handle, some coordinated ribbon for bows. Then go ahead and decorate it with the same flowers, glue it into the kitten's hands, and you have a wonderful French country cat.
It's absolutely darling.
One more tip, Carol. If you notice, all of these air fresheners are designed so that they can still be used as a Renew-It adjustable air freshener to scent your room completely. So you have a decorative and useful project.
I can't top that. Well, that's it. The end of our Country Crafts videotape. And I hope you feel as I do. Oh, is it over already? Well, obviously I enjoyed myself, and I certainly hope you did the same. And that maybe we can do it again sometime. Enjoy.